You can't marry him.
What? Why?
He's not who you think.
If you had 30 seconds to decide whether to shatter your boss's wedding day or let her walk down the aisle toward a lie, what would you do? I had exactly that long, 30 trembling seconds with my hands on the zipper of her ivory gown, her happiness glowing in the mirror, and a truth burning in my throat that could ruin everything. Stay with me, because what happened after I whispered those 5 words changed both our lives forever. The bridal suite smelled like roses and expensive perfume, the kind that lingers in memory long after the moment is gone. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, catching the tiny crystals sewn into the bodice of the dress. My boss, Elena Whitmore, stood tall and radiant in front of the mirror. She was the kind of woman who commanded boardrooms with a single glance, who built a $1 million company from nothing but grit and sleepless nights. To the world, she was untouchable. To me, she was the woman who gave me my first real job when I was drowning in debt and self-doubt. My hands trembled as I carefully pulled the zipper up her back. "Not too tight, Mara," she teased softly, her voice lighter than I'd ever heard it in the 3 years I'd worked for her. "You look perfect," I said, and I meant it. The dress hugged her like it had been stitched by angels. She smiled at her reflection. "He's always late," she murmured, more to herself than to me. "But he'll be here. Daniel wouldn't miss this for the world." Daniel. My stomach tightened at the name. Just minutes earlier, while organizing last-minute calls in the hallway, I had answered a phone that wouldn't stop vibrating on the makeup table. It was his phone. He had left it behind in his rush to, wherever he had gone. I wasn't trying to snoop. I was trying to silence it. But the message flashing across the screen had silenced me instead. "Airport security is asking questions. I can't keep lying for you. Call me." And beneath it, dozens of messages from the same number over the past weeks. Photos. Apologies. Plans. Plans that did not include a wedding. I didn't need to read more. The pieces fell into place with cruel clarity. Daniel wasn't late. He was leaving. I stepped back as the zipper reached the top. My reflection in the mirror looked pale beside her glowing confidence. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure she could hear it. She turned to face me. "You've been quiet all morning. Are you nervous for me?" I swallowed. I had always admired her strength, her directness. She once told me, "The truth might hurt, but lies destroy." She lived by that rule in business. But could she survive it in love? Outside, music began to swell faintly from the garden below. Guests were taking their seats. The aisle was lined with white lilies. The world was ready for a fairy tale. Elena reached for my hand. "Thank you for everything, Mara. You're more than my assistant. You're family." The word family pierced me. I remembered my first day at the company, how I had shown up in a wrinkled blouse, terrified and underqualified. She had looked at my resume, then at my nervous eyes, and said, "I don't hire perfection. I hire potential." She gave me a chance when no one else would. And now I held a truth that could shatter her. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. He boarded the flight. I didn't need to ask which flight. My breath caught. 30 seconds. Maybe less. Elena took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Is it time?" I looked at her, really looked at her. Not the powerful CEO. Not the bride in couture lace. Just a woman in love, trusting someone with her whole heart. I stepped closer, my fingers brushing the smooth fabric of her gown. "Before you walk out there," I whispered, my voice barely steady, "there's something you need to know." She frowned slightly. "What is it?" The music grew louder. Someone knocked on the door. 5 minutes. My throat tightened. If I stayed silent, she would walk down that aisle to an empty altar. Hundreds of eyes watching her confusion turn into humiliation. Headlines tomorrow. Whispers forever. I leaned in, my lips near her ear, and whispered the words that changed everything. Your husband is not coming. The world seemed to freeze. For a second, she didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then she pulled back slowly, searching my face as if hoping I would laugh and say it was a joke. What did you say? He left, I said softly. He boarded a flight this morning. I saw the messages. I'm so sorry. The color drained from her cheeks. Her hand gripped the edge of the vanity table. I expected tears. I expected anger. Instead, there was silence. The knock came again. Elena? It's time. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were different. Not broken. Not shattered. Clear. How long have you known? She asked. 10 minutes, I replied. I didn't want to believe it. She nodded once, as if confirming a suspicion she had buried deep. He's been distant for weeks. I thought it was wedding stress. Another knock. More urgent. She straightened her shoulders. Help me with the veil. I blinked. What? Help me with the veil, Mara. My hands moved automatically, placing the delicate lace over her dark hair. She looked at herself one more time in the mirror, not as a bride waiting for a groom, but as a woman who had just been handed the truth. Open the door, she said calmly. The wedding coordinator beamed. You're ready. Everyone's waiting. Elena stepped into the hallway, chin high. I followed, my heart racing. The music swelled as she appeared at the top of the staircase leading to the garden aisle. Guests stood, smiling, phones raised to capture the moment. But there was no groom at the altar. A murmur began to ripple through the crowd. Elena walked down the aisle anyway. Each step was steady. Powerful. Intentional. When she reached the front, she turned, not toward the empty altar, but toward the guests. The music faltered and stopped. She took the microphone from the stunned officiant. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice echoing across the garden. Today was meant to celebrate love. And it still will. Confused whispers spread. My fiancé will not be joining us, she continued, her tone calm but unbreakable. But instead of hiding or pretending, I choose honesty. I felt tears sting my eyes. I built my life on courage and truth. I will not abandon those values now. So today, I celebrate something else. She paused. I celebrate resilience. I celebrate self-worth. And I celebrate every person here who has ever had the strength to walk away from what no longer serves them. Silence. Then, unexpectedly, applause. Soft at first. Then louder. She smiled, not with bitterness, but with freedom. Please, she said, gesturing toward the lavish reception setup, eat, drink, dance. Let this not be a day of embarrassment, but a day of empowerment. The crowd erupted into cheers. I stood at the edge of the aisle, stunned by her strength. Later that evening, after the guests had transformed the reception into something between a party and a revolution, I found her alone by the fountain. She had taken off the veil. The dress shimmered under string lights. You saved me, she said quietly without turning around. I'm sorry I had to, I replied. She faced me, eyes soft. No. You did what most people are too afraid to do. You chose truth over comfort. I hesitated. I was scared you'd hate me. She shook her head. Real loyalty isn't protecting someone from pain. It's protecting them from lies. The night air was cool, carrying laughter and music from the garden. I spent years building a company, she continued. I thought I was building a life with him too. But maybe this, she gestured around. Maybe this is the life I'm meant to have. One built on honesty. She stepped closer. I need someone brave by my side as I expand the company next year. Someone who tells me the truth, even when it hurts. I want you as my operations director. My breath caught. Me? You, she said firmly. You've already proven you have the most important qualification. I felt tears slip down my cheeks. The girl who once doubted herself, who almost stayed silent to avoid conflict, had just helped change the course of a powerful woman's life. And in doing so, changed her own. Months later, when headlines tried to frame her as the abandoned bride, she gave one interview that silenced them all. I wasn't left at the altar, she said confidently. I walked away from a lie. That clip went viral. Women wrote to her from around the world, thanking her for showing them that public disappointment does not define private worth. And every time I see that interview, I remember those 30 seconds. The zipper in my hands. The truth in my throat. If I had stayed silent, she would have walked into humiliation. Instead, she walked into power. So if you ever find yourself holding a truth that could change someone's life, ask yourself this: are you protecting their feelings, or their future? Sometimes the kindest whisper is the hardest one to say. And sometimes, the wedding that falls apart is the very moment a stronger life begins.